Tom McGraw here from Quick Draw Comics. So today we're going to be talking about Poison Ivy. So really excited about this episode because we had a previous episode that we did on Harley Quinn, as you probably remember, and the painting that I did on her. So I think this painting ended up being really cool. And I want to talk about Poison Ivy a little more because there's a lot to learn about Poison Ivy, especially after we've discussed Harley Quinn. So, a lot of people think about Poison Ivy as being like this person that can control plants and is like this slightly aggressive gardener or an intense organic farmer. But she is not that. And so basically, don't let that aesthetic or thinking fool you in any way. She's actually one of the most terrifying and apocalyptic forces in all of the DC universe. So today we're going to be breaking down what, as they say, the Queen of Green, and explaining why underestimating her is basically a one-way ticket to the compost pile, as they would say. All right. So before she was not threatening global civilization with her eco-terrorism, she started out was as someone by the name of Dr. Pamela Isley. And so she was a brilliant botanist and biochemist, and she just really loved plants. And so, but as we all know, we're talking comic books. So obviously, a 9 to 5 job with a character and following them is not something that we have in comic books. So what happened was she was in her lab, she was doing work, and she was under tutelage of a person that was her mentor in the labs. And his name was Jason Woodrue. And what happened was with Dr. Pamela Isley was she was basically subjected to some lab experiments with these toxic chemicals and and rare plant compounds. And what happened was it didn't just like impact her or whatever. I mean, it completely rewrote her DNA. So that's how she got that green skin that you see in the comic books, and like you see in the Max series Harley Quinn when they're on there, and basically everywhere in the comic books and everything else. She just basically ended up having this new worldview about the the eco world. All right. So, and she started thinking that really humanity was a disease against the environment, and that she was going to be the cure for all of that. So she kind of had a very dynamic career pivot, as they say. And so she went from basically writing these academic papers to deciding that City Hall looked basically better under 40 feet of weaponized ivy. And it's interesting too because in the latest Poison Ivy comic book series, she actually does become the mayor of Gotham, and she has her whole agenda around helping the environment as a main or her main point with that. So other things start to suffer as a result of it. Um, so so one of the things that she can do, one of her powers is that it goes way beyond just kind of controlling vines and everything else, and growing oversized Venus flytraps. She's what's called the she's plugged into the green. So think about it as sort of like the Wi-Fi for plants and vegetation. So she's able to tap into the green, which uh, thing is actually also part of this as well. And he can connect into this as well too. And she can basically then manipulate and accelerate and weaponize basically any form of vegetation on a global scale. um, and so that's pretty impressive. So you'll see her in scenes or whatever when she's fighting, and then she just kind of like brings everything around her into like a weapon as far as vegetation, and she can take over anybody and anything from that. And she could be in situations where all she needs is like a little seed or a little leaf or whatever, and she can boom pull from that and then go and then do what she needs to do. So she's very, very, very powerful. The other thing about her is she has, which are very powerful too, are pheromones. All right. So think about that. I mean, this is the Man of Steel who can punch asteroids. He can race the Flash and win. He can tangle with dark gods, and he's basically taken down by weaponized pollen that she exudes. Right. So you know, I mean, basically, she can turn the world's most powerful man into her personal bodyguard. I mean, who's who's going to stop her? Um, but you know what makes her interesting is that she's not like out there using her powers to like rob banks and get money and do all this other stuff. What she's really trying to do is go and save the environment and do that in any way, shape, or form that's necessary, good or bad or whatever. That's her goal. And so, it doesn't matter who's in her way, she'll break right through there and go and do that. And so if you look at the state of the world, honestly, she's kind of right? I mean, my wife and I were up in Alaska and we saw the glaciers melting. The heat here in North Carolina is like through the roof, for example, that I am in. You guys are probably seeing it as well. So, I mean, it's not mistakable that there is major issues around the world with global warming and such. Forests being cut down and everything else. So environmentalism is a very good thing to have a stance on and want to do something around that. Okay, but you know her methods of doing that, of like unleashing a botanical apocalypse on Gotham City, is not really the way to go. But whoever said that saving the ecosystem would be a polite, easy process, I don't know who that is. So there's this sort of moral gray area that's there, and it's funny because Batman actually realizes that there is a problem with the environment, and so Bruce Wayne, he agrees with her on her environmental goals, but he just prefers that she doesn't use these giant monster weeds and to eat the civilian population. And it's sort of like this clash of ideologies, and not this that's happening there. Um, so you cannot talk about really the modern day Poison Ivy without talking about her iconic better half, and then that is Harley Quinn, of course. So their relationship took Ivy from a standard sort of like this one note Batman rogue to one of DC's most beloved and multi-layered anti-heroes. And you see this her relationship with uh, Harley in the DC animated series Harley Quinn. Also, you see it in the comic books, even the latest issue of Poison Ivy that's out there. Uh, there where she actually is the people that are Poison Ivy is the mayor, and no one can get through to Poison Ivy, and so they turn to Harley to try and get to her. Um, and so and then there's a Harley and Ivy comic book series that's out, so that's kind of interesting. Um, but Harley is actually someone that brings her deeply and compassionate and fiercely protective human side out, which is kind of interesting. She's kind of tough on the outside, but deep down, she's a really nice person. And they really support each other and they balance each other's chaotic energy. Harley is like all over the place, jumping around, da da da. And they're basically Gotham's premier power couple, honestly, if you really kind of think about it, which is kind of interesting. And and it really turns out that underneath all that toxic bark and lethal chemistry and all that, there's just this real genuine heart that is underneath Poison Ivy. So anyways, oh, and I wanted to say this. I typically start at the top of the hour, whatever it is, episode, and I talk about the first appearance. So, but this is the first appearance of Poison Ivy, and that was in Batman 181. First appearance of Poison Ivy, and that's her as Pamela Isley. So there you go. This is my copy, 4.5 graded. It's a CGC qualified grade. So, anyways, it's not perfect copy, but I really, really like this. This is one of my favorite comic books, next to my comic book that I have of Harley Quinn. And then I also have her second appearance in comic books. Uh, it's actually down here. You probably can't see it, but that was her second appearance, and that was Batman 183. That was her second appearance in comic books. So yeah, I'm gonna flash back up the painting that I did of um, Harley again. Here it is, just so you guys can see that painting again of Harley Quinn. We talked about, and then I'm going to show you also the picture that I did of Superman, because that was something that we talked about in this episode too. And I only do that just so you guys can go back to the episodes that are paintings and stuff like that that I did, and so you can go and see those episodes and learn more about those characters and the paintings and everything else. But I thought that this one turned out to be really, really nice. I really, really like this one. It has a beautiful picture, and it really embodies her, and the hair and the vegetation and the ivy and the face and the green eyes and everything else. So really, really, really like this. Probably one of my favorite, next to the Wonder Woman and Harley Quinn and this one. So hope you enjoyed this. Okay, so on to sponsorships. I never heard from Taco Bell. So you know what, Taco Bell, you're out. Bye. However, I did. Uh, Today's Friday. Wednesday is New Comic Book Day, so it's like my weekly Christmas day. I didn't get to go on Wednesday, so I got to go to my new comic book day here in North Carolina, to my comic book shop. And I was hungry because I had just gone swimming for 40 minutes at the pool outside, and I was pretty hot and hungry and everything else. Anyways, I hadn't been to Del Taco for a long time, since I lived in California, as I told you guys. And there was a Del Taco that's just got here. They just put it in. So I went to Del Taco, and I'm telling you what, I got this number 5 burrito. I'm going to throw this picture up of it. It was amazing. I don't know if it's because being outside in the hot and swimming and whatever. That's that. But I'm going to tag you, Del Taco, because Taco Bell is out. And then the other thing that I found and I got, is my wife knows I love these liquid deaths. And so these are just water. But anyways, this is the mountain water. It's the still drinking water, but they have tall boys. So yeah, I mean, I use this when I'm recording, painting, editing. I don't know, all these things I got to do for this show for you guys. So I don't know. I do a lot for you. Anyways, with that, I'm going to leave it there. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you want to do next. I'm actually going to do the next episode is going to be on Red Sonja. So we're going to go with the auburn hair kind of theme thing, and we're going to go to Red Sonja, and we're going to take on more of that sort of like that medieval, fighter kind of, tough uh, person that we haven't done in the past or here on this show. So pretty excited about that. So it'll a lot of sword fighting and I don't know, brutal kind of warish type stuff. I don't know. It's a different angle. We'll see. So what? This is episode 16. That'll be episode 17. I need to hear from you. And you know what, sponsors? I need to hear from you too. So yeah, great. Del Taco, Liquid Death, yeah. Oh, and by the way, just so you guys know, I'm gonna say it again. I love Supergirl. So boo, boo to you. Loved it. I'm gonna keep on saying it over and over. So whatever. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and I will check you later. Bye.